Hey everyone, thank you for joining me. I'm a guy called Joe, and this is Bootstrapping Tools. Let's Build, where we help scrappy bootstrappers just like yourself figure out how to overcome some of the hurdles that they're facing, or just to learn how to become better in their daily operations or become more efficient in what they do. Now, before we dive into today's topic, make sure to check out our YouTube channel. We got lots of videos up there that go through all sorts of low code and no code solutions out there. That includes Retool, Airtable, Google Sheets, Data Studio, Google Apps Scripts, as well as many others. If you don't see what you're looking for here, feel free to shoot an email over to feedback@bootstrapping.tools. We'll be happy to take a look at that application and possibly make a video just for you. Now, in today's topic, we're going to be talking about how you can update multiple Google Sheet fields in Retool using one API call. If you've seen some of our other videos about the basic CRM, we actually had it set up so that you were only updating one field at a time. So such as the plan that they had or the lead status that they had or the notes, we really only just did one field at a time. Now today, I'm going to show you how to update multiple fields at a time, and we're going to be using an example where we're going to set a customer as inactive, and then we're going to also update the billing status of it, so the billing end date, and then also adding in some cancellation notes. So we're going to be updating 3 separate fields within the Google Sheet using one API call. But let's go ahead and dive into it. So up on the screen here, we have our basic CRM powered by Google Sheets using this Retool app that we built. And on the left-hand side, just a quick recap, we have our list of all the leads that we have along with their company name. And then we also have on the top a header section where you can select or filter down your leads by a certain status. So I have them all as closed right now. What we're going to do is in this right-hand side container over here, we're going to give ourselves the option to deactivate a customer. And then when we deactivate them, we want to set the billing end date to today's date, and then also add in some notes and also change the status. So if we go back over to the spreadsheet that we have, just want to show you the column that we're going to be editing over here. So we have the lead status is set to close right now, which is fine, and lost, and that's all. And then we have the account status, which is the one that we're going to be updating. Then we have billing end date, so we're going to pre-populate this or populate it as soon as we hit that inactive status, and we're going to set it to today's date. And then we're going to add in some cancellation reasons, and there's a column for notes, but we won't be using that. So it's going to be billing ends, cancellation reason, and account status are the ones that we're going to be focusing on. So going back over to our Retool app, go ahead and pop open the bottom panel. You can do that up on the top. There's going to be 3 options for you, one for the left panel, one for the bottom panel, and one for the right panel. We want the bottom panel. So go ahead and click on that. That's going to pop up the tray all the way at the bottom. And that's going to give us access to all the queries that we have in this Retool app. So you can see we already have an update plan type and also an update status, and those are only handling one field at a time. It's pretty simple to create a multi-field one. You just have to add the variables here. But the thing that's going to be tricky for us is having to actually calculate what the different values are going to be. So let's go ahead and create a brand new JavaScript query. And then here, what we're going to do is we're going to get today's date, and then we're going to format it in a way that makes sense for our Google Sheet, which in this case is going to be month/day/year. So 1 second here. Okay, so in this code, what we're going to do is we're going to first define our date variable. So let's go ahead and declare that var date equals new date, open and close parentheses, and this is going to give us the date value. So just so that we can see what that looks like, let me just return that, and then we'll preview this. We'll see here it's got this kind of format that includes the time zone and the time and all of that. We don't necessarily want that though. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say billing end. So we're going to declare this variable billing end, and that's going to be equal to date.getMonth plus this slash. And we're actually going to add that twice. So let's go ahead and just pre-populate that for ourselves. And in the middle over here, we're going to do date. And then at the end of it, we're going to do year. So get year. And if we return this, we'll see that it's nicely formatted into a way that we can put it back. And this actually says 121. So instead of doing the plus, what we may need to do here is we're going to have to add in a little bit of logic here. So the get month starts at a 0. So we're actually going to break this apart itself. And we're going to say parentheses get day plus 1. And then the date is correct because that starts off from 1. And then the year is something that we're actually going to need to edit here. So instead of saying get year, we're going to say get full year so that we get the entire value. So see, now it's September 12th, 2021, the exact date of today. So that's perfect. So now we have the billing date here. So we have billing end, but that's not the only thing that we're going to want. We're also going to want to get the account status. So with that, let's go ahead and save this for now. And then we'll rename this to generate payload for inactive state. All right, so we're going to generate the payload with this, and then we're going to pass it through to our API call. Before we do that, here, let's add ourselves in a little modal. And this modal, what this is going to do is it's going to serve as our inactivity button. So let's just drop this over at the far left corner of the container. And then here, let's say deactivate account. And when someone opens it up, we're going to give them a cancellation reason. So we're going to drop in a rich text editor. Make that full width of the container, of the modal. And we can actually also set this modal to be a little wider. So let's go ahead and click on modal 1. And then give this with 60%. And that's kind of wide. Let's say 40%. That's fine. Okay, awesome. Let's actually make this a little smaller here. So now that we have this, we're going to drop this down a little bit. Give ourselves a little bit room up top. And we're going to insert a title here. So we're just going to grab some text. And then for the value of it, we're just going to give it a header 4. We're going to say cancellation reason. You can expand that. And then we'll also add in a button to do the submit. Name this submit. And for the default value, let's just go ahead and say, please enter a cancellation reason. I guess we can actually make this, instead of submit, confirm cancel. Confirm account deactivation. How about that? That's better. Let's make it a nice little red, because why not? Okay, all right, so we have our button, we have our rich text editor, and we have our little modal. So what we'll do now is we're going to, in here, set some a bunch of different values to an object, so a payload. So what we'll do here is we'll say var payload equals to an object, and we're going to say the billing end date equals to billing end. And then we're going to get the cancellation reason, and we're going to set that to rich text editor 1 dot value. Right, and then now we also need to get the account status. And then we're going to set that to inactive. And then we're going to return payload here. So preview this. Looks like please enter cancellation reason. So that looks good. billing date looks good, and then also account status looks good as well. So we're going to go ahead and save this. And now we're going to create a new resource query, and this resource query is going to be targeting the Google Sheet and using update spreadsheet. So in your selector for the resource, select Google Sheets. You're going to get that spreadsheet ID. If you don't remember how to get the spreadsheet ID, it's basically just in the URL. So go over to your spreadsheet, and then in between the pads for D and edit, just copy that ID and then bring that in. And then our sheet name was called leads. So you can go ahead and just copy and paste that in as well, so you don't have any typos. All right, so within the action type, make sure you select update a spreadsheet, and that's going to open up a new filter that you can use. And if you remember, or let's actually save this real quick. If you remember in the other calls that we were doing, we had full name as the filter by, and then we used the table select row full name as the way that we would identify which row we needed to grab. So let's actually grab that. We'll copy that over. We'll bring it over to our new query, which we're going to say deactivate account as the call. Plot this into the filter by value, and then we're going to say full name is the filter by option. All right, and then in here, what we'll do is we're going to say generate payload active state.data. So we'll go ahead and save this. So right now this is null because this value is not actually ran yet. So if we run this, wait for it to be successful, we come back over here and we hover over our update value, we'll see that the billing ends, cancellation reason, and account status are all there. However, if you remember in our update plan type, within the values, that payload, we actually need to change it up so that we are doing a one-to-one match with the column headers. So we go back over to the generate payload for an active state, and we go over here. Account status is capital S with the space. Billing end, same thing. It's case sensitive, and we also need to replace all of the underscores with spaces. So, all right, let's do this here then. We're going to replace this. We're going to say billing end, and then cancellation reason, same thing. We're going to do cancellation reason, and then account status, all capitals with the spaces. So we're going to save this. We'll run it. It's going to finish running, and then when we look at this, we should see here that we have billing ends with the value, cancellation reason, and then also account status as inactive. So if we run this, it should actually go ahead and update the table for us. So let's quickly, before we do that, on the button that we have in our modal, let's go ahead and add an event handler. You can do that by going over to the right hand side tray, look for the event handler section, click on new, and then trigger the query. And the one that we want is generate payload for inactive state. So once we select that, we're going to go back over to our generate payload for inactive state. Hold up, we got to save this deactivate account first. We're going to go over to here, and then on success for the event handler for this as well. So we're going to add also an event handler in here. And what we're going to do here is we're going to trigger the deactivate account call that we're going to do. That way, what's going to happen here is the confirm account deactivation red button is going to generate the payload for the inactive state. And then once that is finished generating, it's going to call the deactivate account so that the payload is already ensured to be there. We can just go ahead and call the API with the data once that's done. All right, so let's close this modal and let's give it a test run. So the one that we have selected here is ENA, and it's currently closed, or enterprise plan. So all we want to do is we're going to deactivate them. So let's say deactivate account. Click on that, the modal pops up. We're going to say closed business down is the reason. Then we're going to confirm the account deactivation. When we click on that, it's going to run all the queries. Oh wait, I actually didn't save this. Ha, 1 second. Let's try that one more time. So click on the confirm account deactivation, saves that, and then deactivate account ran successfully. So we go back over to our spreadsheet and look for Enya here. We'll see that it's actually the first row right here. We'll see that the status is now set to inactive. The billing end date is set to today's date, and then the cancellation reason we have closed business down with the open and closing element for a paragraph. Now, if you wanted to remove that, there is a way to do that. It's a little bit involved, which I can actually show you at another video. But if you want to do that, it's fairly simple. It's totally possible. If you are interested in seeing that, leave a comment in the section, and I'll be happy to respond back with how you can do that. But before we wrap up here, let me just show you this one more time. So we're going to pick another person, but we're actually going to do this all in the preview mode. That way you don't have to see all the code that we have. So we're just going to go ahead and uncheck scheduled, progress, and lost, so that we only have closed people who are active clients. So we're going to pick Domingo over here, currently closed, got a basic account. I'm going to say deactivate account, and the reason is did not give a reason. And then confirm account deactivation. So we click on that, query is going to run, and the other query is going to run. And now if we go back over to our spreadsheet and then we look for Domingo, actually let's just do a search here. So we have Domingo over here. We can go over, wait, is this the same Domingo? 1 second. Mikhail. Okay, wrong Domingo. Here we go. Domingo Mikhail, row 385. We can see here that now with that single API call, the active account status has been set to inactive. The billing date has been set to today, and then the cancellation reason is now did not give a reason. So that's basically it. If you have any questions about this, feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Also, if you are interested in seeing how you can strip away HTML from your text, I'll be happy to show you that as well. So leave a comment in the section below if you have any interest in that. So this is basically it for that. We basically just called one API call to Google Sheets to update multiple fields. The way you do that is by adding multiple variables to it. And in order to enter in multiple variables, make sure that the variable name is the same exact thing as what the column header is in your Google Sheet. Otherwise, it won't match up and you won't be able to edit those fields. But this is essentially how you would do it for a single row. If you need to do this for multiple rows, within your Google spreadsheet, what you would essentially do is you do the same thing that I just showed you, but you would add on an additional layer to that where you would loop through all the different requests that you have to make. Of course, when you're doing it in a UI, you won't need to do multiple rows at a time unless you're doing a table. But in that case, if you are using a table, you might want to just use the records array or the updates array. I forgot exactly what it's called, but we do have another video that goes over that. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Of course, if you did like this video, make sure to hit that like button. It's the best way to support this channel and help us continue to make content for you so that you and other scrappy bootstrappers just like yourself can continually learn how to create apps using low-code and no-code solutions and just better themselves in their everyday operations. Of course, we got lots of videos coming up on our YouTube channel, so make sure to check that out. We talk about Retool, Google Sheets, AppScript, Shopify API, Airtable, as well as many others. So make sure to check that out. If you don't see something that you are looking for, feel free to shoot an email over to feedback@bootstrapping.tools. We'll be happy to take a look at that and possibly make a video just for you. And with all the videos that we have coming out, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and also the bell so that you get notified when we release the next video. Of course, I'm a guy called Joe. This is Bootstrapping Tools. Let's build. It's been a pleasure, and we're out.